What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is boy, the one and only X-Man. And today we're gonna be reacting to the 10 most dangerous kids in the world. I'm not gonna put it up there. So let's get to it.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at the most dangerous kids in the world. Kids are usually seen as sweet and innocent, and a lot of the time they are. But there are a few children and teenagers who turned out to be some of the most dangerous people on the planet. Get ready for your jaw to drop when you see what these seemingly innocent children have done. But first, press the subscribe button, and why not press the notification bell too?
100 million subscribers.
Coming in at number 10, we have Morgan Geezer and Anissa Wire. Creepypastas are fake horror stories spread online that can sometimes be pretty scary, but at least they're not in the real world, right? Well, in 2014, two 12-year-old girls brought what was a scary story for entertainment into reality. They spent a year planning to sacrifice someone with the hopes that they would please Slender Man. So, one Saturday, the two girls named Morgan and Anissa convinced one of their middle school classmates to go into the woods where they lived in Wisconsin. They tried to take the girl named Peyton Lutner's life with a knife. When they thought they were done, they walked away, leaving Peyton in the woods. However, Peyton miraculously lived and was able to crawl to a local house to call for help. She was in hospital for a few days and thankfully made a full recovery. Afterwards, the creator of Slender Man actually gave his condolences as to what happened and gave Peyton some money. The two girls were sentenced to prison time at first, but this was later changed to 25 years in a mental home. Some were angry at this, saying they should be in jail forever. What do you think about this crazy event of a fake scary story turning real? One thing's for sure, it makes Morgan and Anissa two of the most dangerous children ever to live. Next up, we have Girl A. On June 1st, 2004, a girl who can legally only be referred to as Girl A took the life of her fellow classmate. At 11 years old, Girl A used a knife on Satomi Mitare, who was also 11 at the time. It happened at an elementary school in Sasebo, Japan. The girl is kind of a mystery, as she was only 12, meaning that by Japanese law she couldn't be photographed or named. However, I'm not in Japan, so I can tell you her name is actually Natsumi. A teacher found out about what she did pretty soon, and after she was taken to a police station. She spent the night saying, "I'm so sorry" to the police and crying. But why did such an innocent girl do this? Well, apparently Satomi had called Natsumi a goody-goody, which was a reference to her weight. Believe it or not, all she was sentenced to was 2 years in a mental home. This became a Japanese meme as the reason why they should lower the age of criminal responsibility. Now, but I'm sure all of you are, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm personally torn, as some people say she didn't know what she was doing down to her age, but others disagree. Next, Beaver Brothers. This one took place in July 2015 in Oklahoma. Two brothers named Robert, who was 18, and Michael, who was 16, took the life of their entire family.
Y'all see their faces? They look so dirty. Your entire family.
This included their parents and 2 out of their 4 siblings with a knife. But that's not all. What they were plotting was way worse. They were plotting a mass life-taking to gain fame. Believe it or not, this is the motivation behind many criminals, which is why some news outlets like Philip DeFranco and more don't show the criminals' faces. The brothers were called the most evil brothers in America by the press and were sent to jail. But why did the brothers not take the lives of all of their siblings and only 2 out of the 4? Well, they first took the lives of David and April Beaver, their mom and dad, and then did the same with their 12-year-old brother Daniel. 7-year-old Christopher and 5-year-old Victoria met the same fate. They then tried to do the same to their 13-year-old sister, but failed, and even told her they'd do the same to their 2-year-old sister as well. However, the 2-year-old was left unharmed and was taken into foster care. This sure is one crazy story of 2 very dangerous brothers. Coming up next, we have Jasmine Richards. This is one of the most famous dangerous kids in the world. Jasmine Richards from Alberta, USA had a boyfriend named Jeremy Stenk. They were both pretty odd and liked to talk about things most people would find scary. A few times, Jasmine and Jeremy had talked about taking the lives of Jasmine's family. This was because Jasmine's parents had punished her for dating Jeremy, as he was 23 and she was 12. However, Jasmine said it was all a joke and they were never doing it in a serious way. However, in 2006, one night, Jeremy entered the Richards household and took the lives of Jasmine's parents. She said she was shocked and was in a zombie state, whatever that means, and she couldn't stop or go for help. I don't know about that, but she then did what Jeremy did to her parents, but to her own brother. She was only sentenced to 10 years in the mental ward, probably because of her age, and is out now. However, Jeremy was locked up for 25 years with parole and will be out in 2034.
Was it really worth it?
Next up is Shirley Wolf and Cindy Collier. One day, 2 girls named Shirley, who was 14, and Cindy, who was 15, knocked on the door of Anna Brackett, who was 85. They said a weirdo was following them and they wanted to come inside and use her phone. Anna let the girls in, but then all of a sudden they took her life with a knife and ran out of the door. The creepy thing is, Anna was found by her son, who had just driven past the two girls and thought nothing of them. And if you want something even more creepy, the two girls had just done the same thing to another woman before what they did to Anna. They knocked on her door and entered the house, but her husband came into the room, so they decided to leave. The woman said they were very odd and cleaned the glasses she'd gave them and wiped their phone with cleaning gel after she was done using it. This was to try and get rid of their fingerprints, but even though they did this, it didn't take long for cops to track down the teens. The duo were sentenced to a long time in a mental ward. But why did they do this, you're probably asking? Well, here's the most messed up part. They said they just did it for fun. Most 14 and 15-year-olds watch movies or go to the mall for fun, but these two girls did this. Next up is Nehemiah Griego. This one took place in New Mexico in 2013. A 15-year-old boy named Nehemiah Griego decided to take his mom's life one night with a .22 caliber rifle. His brother then woke up and Nehemiah showed him what he'd done. His brother then became upset, so Nehemiah did what he did to his mom but to his brother, who was only 9. He then went into his sister's room, who were 5 and 2, and did the same thing to them as well. He then waited for his dad to come home and did the same thing to him. His dad was actually the brother of a prominent New Mexico politician named Eric Griego. Nehemiah was actually planning to take more lives, but was stopped by the police. In court, he even had to wear a mouthguard to stop him spitting at people. He was sentenced to prison time and will be released when he turns 21, which is in just over 2 years. Some say the sentence is pretty short for what he did, but a judge said he could be fixed. What do you think about what happened on that terrible day in 2013 to the Griego family? Next up is James Fairweather. Many people have idols. For some, it's notable people like singers, sports people, or Logan Paul. Everybody needs someone to idolize. But some people idolize different kinds of people, like killers. 14-year-old British schoolboy James Fairweather was one of those people. In 2015, he took a man's life with a knife, and then in 2016 took a woman's life with a bayonet. He was planning to take a third person's life, but was arrested and sent to prison with a minimum of 27 years behind bars. The reason for why he did this was because he was obsessed with killers such as the Yorkshire Ripper and Ted Bundy. And he even had a picture of Ted Bundy on his cell phone. When he was sentenced, he said, "I don't give a shit." The investigation to bust this guy took 1,500 officers and 10,000 hours, and I bet they were surprised when it turned out to be a teen. Next up, we have the Thompson toddlers. In late 2015, a woman from Texas, USA named Raquel Thompson and her boyfriend decided to grab a takeaway pizza. However, they made a big mistake by leaving their 4 young kids at home. Normally, this wouldn't be a problem, but it seems their kids have an odd idea of what it means to have fun. Their 2 3-year-old twins put their 19-month-old sister into their oven. When they got back, they saw what had happened, and the baby was no longer alive. The toddler said one of them put her into the oven and the other made it hot. Of course, they didn't know what they were doing and didn't face any charges. However, as adults, I'm sure they will have a tough time coming to terms with what they did before they could even write their own names. Their parents did face charges, however, due to leaving their kids all alone. The twins and their other sibling who was 5 and slept through the entire thing was placed into foster care. Afterwards, some people said the toddler should face charges, but I'm not so sure about that. What do you think?
Toddler facing charges.
Next up is
How the
Stuart
freak is
Harding.
a toddler
In
supposed to
2007,
face
the
charges?
media nicknamed this kid the
That is retarded. Who said? Oh my god. Oh my gosh. What's wrong with people now these days? That's just retarded. How is a toddler supposed to?
most dangerous teenager in Britain. When he was just 19, he was sentenced to at least 20 years behind bars. You see, he took the life of an innocent nurse using a knife. But why did he do this? Well, he simply said it was because he was bored and wanted something to do. The weirdest thing about Stuart's crime is he was wearing a witch costume the entire time. He wore a wig and big dark glasses and said he only stopped when his wig fell off his head. The reason behind his nickname is because after a psychologist spoke to him, he said he sounds like the most dangerous teenager ever. He said that he should never be released, which is why he was jailed for 20 years. Do you think he's the most dangerous teenager on this list, or does anyone else on the list seem even more dangerous? I really just want to know why he was wearing a witch costume when he did what he did. And the other made it hot. Knife. But why did he do this? Well, he simply said it was because he was bored and wanted something to do. The weirdest thing about Stuart's crime is he was wearing a witch, but I'm not so sure about that. What do you think? Next up is Stuart Harding. In 2007, the media nicknamed this kid the most dangerous teenager in Britain. When he was just 19, he was sentenced to at least 20 years behind bars. You see, he took the life of an innocent nurse using a knife. But why did he do this? Well, he simply said it was because he was bored and wanted something to do. The weirdest thing about Stuart's crime is he was wearing a witch costume the entire time. He wore a wig and big dark glasses and said he only stopped when his wig fell off his head. The reason behind his nickname is because after a psychologist spoke to him, he said he sounds like the most dangerous teenager ever. He said that he should never be released, which is why he was jailed for 20 years. Do you think he's the most dangerous teenager on this list, or does anyone else on the list seem even more dangerous? I really just want to know why he was wearing a witch costume when he did what he did. Next up is Keith Randulich. Most 19-year-olds want a new computer or the latest iPhone. But when Keith Randulich was 19, he kept asking his mum for a pistol, but his mum said no every time. He said it was to protect his 4-year-old sister Sabrina, but when I tell you this story, you'll see why that is probably not true. You see, in March of 2009, he took his sister Sabrina down to their basement and took her life using a knife. He was sentenced to 40 years behind bars for doing this. In court, he described in great detail what he'd done, which led to his long prison sentence. He said she asked him to stop and was screaming the entire time. And afterwards, he said, "I'm sorry I had to do that to you." He says he just wants to get his punishment over with. But it's not going to be all that quick and easy, as he won't be out of prison until at least 2051. What do you think about this insane story and the other ones on this list? I think those girls, Shirley and Cindy, were the creepiest, to be honest. I just can't believe their victim's son drove right past them without realizing. And although they seem savvy washing their fingerprints off glasses, did they really think they wouldn't get caught because of that? And of course, how could you forget the youngest ones in this list, the Thompson toddlers? It would actually be Jasmine Richards' boyfriend Jeremy, who was dating a 12-year-old when he was 23. Now that is messed up, but then again, so is everyone else on this list. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for what you think is the most dangerous kid. And if you want...
Yo, that's it. Have y'all noticed this video is 10 minutes? They trying to get that money. What the freak, bro? I hope that light won't in the way the whole time, the whole video. Well, peace. Until next time. My bad, y'all. Hold. Peace. Until next time.